Good morning. It is Friday, February 22nd, 2013. This is Jason Horak reporting on the Dodge Daytona electric vehicle. I just figured it would be a good opportunity to give everyone an update as to the current status of things. I have been driving the electric car in the winter. It's been snowy and there's tons of salt all over everything and slush and it's miserable, but due to circumstances beyond my control, my electric car is my only car at this point that's functional. Well, sort of. Last night, I ended up driving home. The car was parked and I drove it about 2 blocks. It was really, really cold, about 20 degrees or so, and I didn't want to charge the car with the batteries being that cold. So I thought, hey, I'll be clever. I'll turn on the electric heater and we'll warm up the garage just a little bit and get it above freezing, and then it'll be good. We can charge it up and everything will be hunky-dory fine. So rather than plugging it in like I normally do when I come in after driving it, I said, oh no, we're instead going to just heat up the garage. Well, that brilliant master plan somewhat backfired. Okay, completely backfired. When I went in the house, sat down on the couch to watch a TV show, and fell asleep. I woke up this morning, and the car had run all night with the heater going, and the fan blower, which is about, I think, 20 amps, give or take, when that's cranking and it's super cold out. So basically it ran 20 amps until the batteries were depleted to the point where the DC to DC converter kicked out, and thus it wasn't charging the accessory battery. So at a certain point, the power in the accessory battery dropped below whatever it takes to maintain the contactor. That would be this little white contactor here. So this guy would have kicked off, thus stopping the heater from drawing. And then at some point later on, the accessory battery dropped down to the point where it no longer ran the fan blower. So what I got came in this morning. The total battery pack had dropped to about 64 volts for 60 batteries, which is, well, bad, real bad. It was 20 degrees in here, and the accessory battery was down, I forget, 8 volts, something like that. It was still putting out power, because I noticed that the meter was still running, the little JLD 404 meter. And so it clocked 175 amp hours from the last time I had reset it, that it pulled out of the battery pack. So that's kind of interesting. Granted, it was pulling it out at roughly 20 amps, so the accuracy probably isn't all that great, but anyway, so because it's a 1000 amp shunt, but anyway, whatever. So I've been heating the garage with a little propane heater, trying to get it up to above freezing in here, and it's about 40 degrees now. And as you can see, the battery pack has come back up to about 121 volts, which is still way below the safety margin on these cells. But so basically, I screwed up and I probably damaged my battery pack. The question is, how much? They were bottom balanced, or as bottom balanced as I could get them, and so we're going to find out what happens. So I figured I would document the process, and we'll go from there. So I went through with the multimeter and measured each of the cells in the pack, and all of them were right around 1.5 volts, which was kind of impressive. So the bottom balancing, definitely helped. 1.5 volts is way below where they should be, but and except these 7 cells up here. These are the 7 additional cells that were added last summer, and I did my best to balance them with the rest of the pack, and rebottom balanced everything to get them in there. but clearly they have a capacity difference from the rest of the cells just inherently because they are about 1 year less old than the rest of the cells. So the interesting thing is these cells drop down well below 1 volt per cell. And in fact, this particular cell, we'll call it number 3 in the pack that I have the power lab hooked up to, is at, I'm not sure if the camera will make this out, but it's at 0.60 volts. So yeah, I'm sure that cell is toast, or at least, damaged a bit. But we're going to use the power lab to try to bring this particular cell back up. And I'm not sure if you can see my breath out here because it's still pretty freaking cold. So I'm not sure. We've got 41 degrees up here and at head level roughly, and but it's still pretty darn cold in this garage. So I'm kind of running out of time. I need to get the car recharged and see what happens, and see if it's drivable, because I have appointments and things I need to get to today. So what we're going to do is give this a try, and I'm going to start the monitor. Again, I'm guessing it's not going to come out on the camera, but so I've got my little bottom balance pack set up here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the charge rate initially at 1 amp. And we're just going to see if that'll do anything. Discharge rate doesn't really matter, so we're going to do charge only. Banana jacks and charging. So I don't know if this will even work, but we're going to try to bring this battery up to about 1.5 volts, just like the rest of them where they settled, and we'll see what happens. So it says that it's at 1.3 already. I somehow find that hard to believe, but I guess it's going to come up that stiff edge of the curve and come up pretty briskly. So we'll stop it when it hits actually 1.75, which is closer to where these other batteries are now, where they kind of settled at once they warmed up. So 1.399, 1.4. So I mean, it is coming up at 1 amp. So we're doing this as gently as seems possible. Let's put about 500 milliamps into the cell. That's went. Set at 1.45. Not sure exactly which screen would be the best to look at here. I thought there was one that showed, oh there we go. That one shows the amps going in and the current voltage. And the camera's probably not making any of this out at all. Not sure why. Just something about the way the LCD screen works in the backlight. But anyway, it's showing 500 milliamps and 1.49 volts currently, and so yeah. So I'm going to go through and bring up all of these other cells. The rest of them were closer to 1 volt. They were like 0.9 to 1.05 or something out of the 7. Oh. We just threw a safety code on the power lab. Probably wasn't happy with it being so low. So now I'm going to put it back on a monitor, just take a look, see where we're at. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Come on. And so it's showing 1.45, so it at least seems to be holding that. Brought it up a little bit and it's staying there. Again, this is down to 0.6. Alright, so since we're on monitor mode, what we're going to do is very carefully, I blew up a power lab doing this. Let's put this on one of these cells down here. Nice and tight. Okay. Oh, so this one's come up actually to 2.23, just from warming up in the garage and removing the load from it. And in fact, I'm going to make sure that load stays off. So there's no draw from the DC to DC converter kicking in if it decides to turn back on. So yeah, so this DC to DC converter is 192 volt rated. So theoretically, when the pack is down at 120, it's not even going to turn on. So that shouldn't be a problem, but just in case. So yeah, so 2.23. That's actually good to know. So that means that I'm probably gonna, let's just pick another one at random here. Let's go for that one. Make sure it's on nice and tight. Look at Power Lab, and so this one's 2.13. So where it's jumping up to. So anyway, my plan is to, whatever these batteries end up settling at, the rest of the pack, that's the value that I'm going to try to bring these 7 up to. Just whatever it is, even if it's lower than it should be, or the 2 point whatever. So it looks like right now maybe 2.25 might be a good spot to set them to, because that's kind of the average. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to bring up those 7 cells with the Power Lab, again at 1 amp, or at a very low charge, just to get them up there. And then I'm going to throw the pack on the main charger, and again, initially I'm going to start it out at lower than the full amperage, because if I start dropping 40 amps into these poor batteries when they're this low, that's probably not good for them. I don't know, just a theory. So I'm going to pull it up to maybe 10 amps at most, at least for the initial 15 minutes to half an hour, until they're kind of getting up there a little bit, and then I'll crank it back up to normal and we'll see what happens. So anyway, in short, I screwed up and I've drained my batteries down far more than they should have been, and now I'm going to try to bring them back to life and get the car back on the road, and I guess we'll see what happens. All indications on internet lore point to these batteries would be damaged beyond recovery, or definitely this one on the top, number 3. But yeah, I guess we'll see what happens, and worst that's going to happen is I'll have to replace all my batteries. What, 15 grand? No problem. I'll just remortgage my house or something. Yay. Anyway, I'll get back to y'all when I've got something more to report, and I guess we'll go from there. Take care and have a good one.